Hello, my fellow tingleheads. I am so excited to explore this fabulous Egyptology book with you today. I have done a couple of books from this publisher in the past. I really enjoyed Ferriopolis, and Dragonology was so much fun. I know they do make quite a few more, so I can definitely look into those if you want me to. Why don't we open her up and see what's inside? All right. Let's start with a few inlays. All of the mail and tickets from the travels done. And here we have the signatures. I took this photograph of my expedition team with Lord and Lady Farncombe at Giza. And to the Candlewick Press from Ms. Joanna Sutherland. Tory Lane, Cambridge, Massachusetts. And it says, the editors, Candlewick Press, 99 Dover Street, Somerville, Massachusetts, 02144. This is the journal of Miss Emily Sands, who is a keen amateur Egyptologist. It has a unique and unusual history. In 1926, 4 years after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun, a group of Egyptologists, led by my great-aunt, set out across Egypt. Armed with a papyrus text of almost unimaginable antiquity, this papyrus had been brought to England sometime in the early 18th century and then found its way into the possession of the Farncombe family. I remember reading somewhere that there was speculation that this precious manuscript described the actual location of the lost tomb of Osiris, that in fact the whole legend of the god Osiris, his enmity with his brother Set, his eventual murder, and his secret burial by his wife Isis, were perhaps folk memories of a real king of Egypt who lived during the earliest period of Egypt's civilization. The reason for this speculation was that the image on the papyrus showed Isis granting eternal life to her husband in a most unusual fashion on one side, while mentioning that Osiris was in the Holy Mound on the other. This Holy Mound has on occasion been associated with the big island of Biga near Aswan. It goes on and on. From Joanna Sutherland, née Sands, which of course means her last name before marriage. So this lovely book is a journal of a 1926 expedition seeking the tomb of Osiris. And here we have a postcard from Emily. Dear Amanda, your sponsorship money is coming in so handy. Tomorrow we're heading off to sail around the Temple of Isis at Philae. I am sure we'll find more about the lost tomb of Osiris there. I'll write again as soon as I can. Emily. P.S. All the camel riding is proving a trifle painful. I needn't say where. This is such a beautiful book. We have her journal entries. Arrived at Cairo, Monday, 1st November 1926. And it appears that we get a copy of the papyrus that created the need for this expedition. Beautiful texture on the back there. I think that is Osiris and Isis. And it says, the two lines of hieroglyphs on the left read, Isis, Lady of Heaven, Mistress of the Gods, she grants that you may live forever and eternity. And on the right, it says, Osiris, the great god, foremost in the west, Lord of Osiris, who is in the Holy Mound. And here it appears they stayed at Patsy's Hotel. The origin of the expedition. Some beautiful artifacts. A boat they took on the River Nile. And a fantastic illustration of photographers at the pyramids of Giza. This is a big section. We have the crowns of Egypt, which are documents to show notes on ancient Egypt from the 8th of November 1926. Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Set. The reign of the gods. The ancient Egyptians believed that before the time of the human pharaohs, which is usually said to begin with the reign of King Menes, there was a period known as the reign of the gods. Lists showing the gods who reigned during this time include the Palermo stone, the Turin papyrus, and the writings of a 3rd century BC Egyptian priest called Manetho, or Manetho. Although he wrote in Greek, his list names the order in which the gods ruled, from Ptah and Re through Shu, Geb, Osiris, Set, and Horus. Could this list record the reigns of real pharaohs? And do the tombs of these kings still await discovery? And this is a chronological list. Archaic, Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, Late New Kingdom, Late Period, and Greco-Roman. And on this page we have temperatures in Egypt. It appears to be a very warm place. I've never visited, but I have friends who have, and they can attest that it is hot. And we have distances here from very well-known Egypt and other cities. And then these flip up and down and show a map that is so big I have to do it sideways. We have the Mediterranean Sea, the Nile River, all the way to the southern Egypt temples of Ramesses II, and many major sites along the way. Giza on the 9th of November, 1926. Here we have NH's recreation of Menkaura's funeral procession below. At the front would have been mourners, while behind, oxen would have pulled the sledge bearing the king's gilded sarcophagus, a type of coffin. What a relief it would have been to the descendants of the oxen when Egyptians began to use the wheel 1,000 years later. It is amazing to think that the ancient Egyptians could build such wonderful monuments using no more than the simple tools of copper and stone. And of course these monuments are the pyramids. And they have cross sections here, built of limestone with granite burial chamber and lower outer casing, erected 2490 BC, height 213 feet, the Pyramid of Menkaura. Built of limestone with granite burial chamber and fine white Tura limestone outer casing, erected 2520 BC, height 471 feet, the Pyramid of Khafra. Built of limestone with granite burial chamber and fine white Tura limestone outer casing, erected 2680 BC, height 481 feet, the Great Pyramid of Khufu. And you can see in all of them how they have burial chambers beneath, and some have access to the middle portions, but some do not. We have a photo of the Sphinx. Here we have Saqqara and Memphis, the 12th of November, 1926. We have a small sample of mummy cloth. Mummies have been used for strange things. When American writer Mark Twain visited Egypt, he wrote that they even used them as fuel for his steamboat. I am afraid we wouldn't get very far with this piece. Says this was found Saturday the 13th November in Saqqara, Egypt. There are mummified animals baboons, cats, an ibis bird. Cerebum, the ancient Egyptians were certainly fond of cats. Some even had their own little coffins. And this is the evolution of the step pyramid. And on this page, Beni Hassan and Amarna, Saturday the 27th of November, 1926. Model fishermen. The tombs of Beni Hassan. At these splendid tombs we learned that while the pharaoh was thought to live with the gods of the stars and the sun when he died, by the time of the Middle Kingdom, nobles also underwent the process of mummification, so that they could live forever too in the ancient Egyptian underworld, ruled by Osiris. A bust of Nefertiti, Akhenaten's queen, which was found in the ruins of a sculptor's studio at Akhenaten in 1911. Hieroglyphs. The secret of understanding hieroglyphs was lost until the Rosetta Stone was discovered by a French soldier in 1799. I bought this booklet in order to help me recognize at least some of the more basic hieroglyphs. Scenes of wildlife decorate many of the ancient tombs. And we have the booklet. Single letter signs. Determinative signs. And some of the pharaohs. Tutmos, Kenmetamun Hatshepsut, Akhenaten, Tutankhamun Hekainun Shema, Seti Merenptah, Ramses Meriamun. Beautiful form of writing. At Sacred Abydos, Friday the 10th of December, 1926. We have the Osirion built by Seti I. It was later falsely thought to be the site of the tomb of Osiris. And we have this temple blueprint. And this says it is the most sacred site in all of Egypt, the temple of Seti I. father of Ramses II. H.W. copied a part of the king list of Seti I, carved into the walls of his temple. And here are bracelets, gold, lapis lazuli, amethyst, and turquoise. Temple worship, archaeological tools, plumb line to mark out the excavation area, trowel to move the soil, pegs used with string to section off the excavation area, brushes to remove covering soil, string used with pegs to section off areas, camera to make a photographic record, flashlight, useful in unlit tombs and grottos, large brush for sweeping away sand and soil, tape measure for measuring the site. Here we have a game. Deir el-Bahri. Deir el-Bahri. Sunday, December 12th, 1926. We have been on board the Bennu bird for just over a month now. To pass the time, we often play a game called Senet, a sort of ancient Egyptian checkers. But we will not have much time for play today because we are going to visit Deir el-Bahri, the sacred mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut. The satirical papyrus. The temple of Queen Hatshepsut. Pictures painted on the walls of Hatshepsut's temple. And the game of Senet. I think this is the board. And these must be the game pieces. The list of rules. Unfortunately, Emily Sand's journal did not include any advice on how to play Senet. For the sake of this facsimile, we include here rules based on the ones that were reconstructed by Timothy Kendall in Passing Through the Netherworlds, the Meaning and Play of Senet. To play Senet, you need 2 players, a board, 10 playing pieces of 5 spools and 5 cones, 4 counting sticks, plain on one side, decorated on the other. Imagining the board like this, numbers show direction of play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, Arrange all the playing pieces alternately, cone, spool, cone, etc. Each player throws the counting sticks to determine his move. Decorated side up is 1, 2 decorated sides up is 2, 3 decorated sides up is 4, all decorated sides up is 3 decorated sides up is 3, all decorated sides up is 4, all plain sides up is 5. The first player who throws a 1 starts. He then throws the sticks, noting down his scores until he throws a 2 or 3. Then he moves a piece or pieces forward the distance given by his different throws. Notes. A piece may jump other pieces. A piece may land on an opponent's piece and swap places with it, unless the opponent's piece is guarded, an example next to another opponent's piece. A backwards move is possible only if no forward move is available. If no move can be made, the player must pass. All pieces must land on square 26. An exact throw is needed to land on square 26. If you land on square 27 or are landed on in squares 28 through 30, your piece must go back to square 15 and your turn ends. Instead of going to square 15, you may wait in square 27 until you throw a 4. To clear a piece from the board, throw away any number from square 30 or exact throws from square 28 or 29. The throw of 5 clears a piece from square 26. If you can only move from square 26 but have nowhere to go, you must land on square 27. Clear all your pieces from the board to win. Sounds a little complicated. I assume that each player is one or the other. And to move, you would throw these right off the board. And that would be a score of 3. So I wouldn't go first. I think it's really fun to think about our past civilizations coming up with fun games just like our friends and family do. Humans have always wanted to play. The Valley of the Kings, the 16th of December, 1926. The treasures of King Tutankhamun. Appears a little adhesive got stuck on his eyebrow. famous tomb. Carter has so far cleared the antechamber and burial chamber, the results of 4 years painstaking work. Currently, he is unwrapping Tutankhamun's mummy. False toes and fingers. The mummy is wearing more than 100 items of jewelry, including these finger and toe protectors. Here we have the outer coffin made of gold foil on carved wood. This is the first in a series of coffins that fit like Russian dolls over the mummy resting inside. The second coffin is made of gold foil laid over wood, and like each of the other coffins, it reproduces the features of the young pharaoh. The third coffin, made of about 240 pounds of solid gold. The third coffin is the single largest piece of ancient gold workmanship ever to have been discovered anywhere in the world. And the mummy wrappings. Among the many wrappings of the mummy, Carter has found a whole host of jewels, amulets, and magical charms, all designed to protect the king in the afterlife. And of course, there are canopic jars from the mummification process. When a person was mummified, their internal organs were placed in canopic jars, guarded by different gods. So far, Carter has not found the chest containing Tutankhamun's canopic jars. They will probably look like these. The jackal for the stomach, the human for the liver, the baboon for the lungs, and the falcon for the intestines. The mummification process was quite extensive. And, as we know from discoveries continuing to be made, it actually did preserve the human form fairly well, without the inside bits of the human to move the process along of what happens after death. They preserved those mummies remarkably well. We have Karnak and the Colossi, 18th December 1926. The Colossi of Memnon. And we have a postcard here Oh. From Percy Bysshe Shelley. I met a traveller from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk and shattered, a visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive. Stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away." So it was not a postcard, but a poem. We have a Theban triad at Luxor. I bought this amusing postcard, so it is, which shows two huge feet from the Ramesseum, the inspiration for a famous poem by Shelley. Situated in Thebes, the Temple of Luxor was connected to the Temple of Karnak by a mighty avenue of sphinxes that ran along each side of the road for more than a mile. What a sight that would have been. The City of the Hawk, 25th of December, 1926. It is Christmas Day, and so we are celebrating in style with a pudding that HW has brought all the way from London. It is just what I need to cheer me up. Despite my mysterious encounter at Luxor, I don't seem to be getting any closer to Osiris or his tomb. The Temple of Horus, built on the site of the mighty battle between Set and Horus, we learned that the statues of the gods were not always kept locked away in their sanctuaries, but were brought out on special feast days. The image of the god Horus at Edfu was brought out once a year to celebrate his marriage to the goddess Hathor, or Hathor. Her image was brought by river from Dendera, 100 miles to the north. The Narmer Palette, Set and Horus. And we have a little booklet here. It looks like a Christmas card from the team this journal is written from. The crew worked very hard to help decorate their ship for Christmas, decking her out with colored lanterns. We had no turkey, so rewarded them instead with roast mutton. A sketch of the priests carrying the statue of Horus to celebrate the god's marriage to the goddess Hathor. And here we have a trip to Nubia, the 31st of December, 1926. I'm anxious to get to Philae, for now I feel sure that is our destination. But I am equally keen to learn as much as I can about ancient Egypt before starting any excavations. So we are first going south to visit Abu Simbel in the nearby kingdom of Nubia. The Temple of Ramesses II. A painting from the wall of the temple. Ancient engineering. I have tried to show what it was like to enter one of these ancient Egyptian temples by constructing this card representation of the Temple of Ramesses II. It is not to scale, of course. As well as commissioning this temple to himself, Ramesses also created a smaller one nearby, dedicated to his chief wife, Nefertari. This, the first of two hippo-style halls, contains 6 statues of Osiris. On either side, the walls are covered with reliefs that show Ramesses riding his chariot and spearing an enemy. The sanctuary lies 150 feet from the entrance of the temple. The temple was built with such accuracy that twice a year at dawn, the rays of sunshine through the doorway and light up these figures. Such attention to detail. They have weapons of war here. Kepish sword, dagger, throw stick, axe, arrow, bow, and spear. And it appears there may have been a run-in with a crocodile. Back to Philae. Ooh. And it has descriptions of the mummification process. Organ removal, wrapping, drying, entombing. And we have a little booklet of a chapter from the papyrus of the Book of the Dead, written from a man named Ani. In the papyrus he is referred to as Osiris, the scribe of Ani. Chapter 30b. The chapter for not letting Ani's heart create opposition against him in the god's domain. And here we have Horus leading Ani by the hand. Ani and his wife, Anubis, god of the underworld, Tot, and Ammon. And here is a ceremony called Opening of the Mouth, where priests prepared the mummy for burial. Priests and mourners read spells to protect the dead man's ka, or spirit, on its final journey to the other world. And here is a sketch of the dam at Aswan, It holds back the mighty waters of the River Nile. Tomb of Osiris, Wednesday, the 5th of January, 1927. I could hardly sleep with excitement. Today we went to the island of Biga. I decided I might as well make a few more notes on the ancient Egyptian idea of the afterlife. After all, if Osiris is the god of the dead, then perhaps in finding his tomb, we should be prepared for almost anything. The Book of the Dead. In Egyptian, this book is called the Book of Coming Forth by Day. Its spells enable the dead person's ba, or soul, to take different forms and travel in and out of the tomb. It also includes the judgment of the dead by a panel of gods, in which the dead person's heart is to be weighed against the feather of truth. The jackal-headed god Anubis weighs the heart, while the ibis-headed Tot, the god of wisdom, records the verdict. If the dead person is judged true of voice, then he may pass to the realm of Osiris. If not, his soul is swallowed by the crocodile-headed Amat, the devourer. As we were wondering what to do next, a rather strange old lady approached us claiming to be a priestess of Isis. She warned us about going near the tomb and spoke of dire consequences if we should try to open it, muttering about curses, poison gases, and booby traps, and shrieking that the Order of Isis had to keep the tomb of Osiris hidden forever. She left us alone only when NH and IA explained that we were just recording the sites of ancient Egypt for our journal. Her talk of curses has upset me a little, but DL says not to be so silly. Beneath the loose earth of the pit, we found a door covered in ancient seal impressions of the name Osiris. In the center is a hollow that seems designed to fit our Eye of Re amulet. Despite our encounter with the so-called priestesses, we have decided, in the interest of science, to try fitting the amulet into the hole tomorrow, after we have a chance to inform the local authorities. This will inform the world, hopefully, of some stupendous finds. And here we have a note. At this point, Emily Sand's journal ends abruptly. It was followed by several blank pages, some of them bearing coffee stains, which have not been included in this facsimile. Could it be coffee? And that's where it ends. We have a little letter. It looks like it contains some postcards and photos and tags from the journey. So, it appears that Miss Emily may have found her way into the tomb of Osiris and found the entrance to the underworld. But we will never know. And we do have one final note from Emily Sands. The pyramids reminded me of all I came to Egypt to discover. The dusty tombs, the ornate temples, the golden treasures, and the strange, unearthly mummies. But I've also come to find something more. You enjoyed this exploration of the book of Egyptology and have found some triggers or relaxation. Let me know if I should do more of these books. And I hope you all have a fabulous rest